Hey everyone! I want you to picture a huge factory making thousands of smartphones every day. Imagine if they skipped the quality check. What would happen? Defective phones, right? Some wouldn't turn on, others might explode. Now think about your body. It's a factory too, but instead of phones, it's making new cells every day. That's where the cell cycle comes in. It's the step by step process your cells go through to grow and divide. But here's the twist: just like a factory needs quality checks, your cells have their own system called checkpoints. These checkpoints pause the cycle to make sure everything is okay before moving to the next step. Today, we'll explore how these checkpoints work, why they're essential, and what happens if they fail. Now, let's dive in. So, why does this all matter? Why do our cells need regulation? Your body has trillions of cells. Some die every day and are replaced by new ones through cell division. But imagine if cells divided without any rules. Some might be damaged, mutated, or just not ready. That's dangerous. Cell cycle regulation helps to prevent damaged cells from dividing, ensure each new cell gets the right DNA copy, control the rate of cell growth, and stop cells from turning cancerous. Without these controls, we're talking serious problems like tumors or genetic disorders. So, checkpoints are your body's way of staying safe and organized. All right, let's take a closer look at something called cell cycle checkpoints. These are like security guards or inspectors that make sure everything in the cell cycle is going smoothly. Think of the cell cycle like a racetrack, but with three major pit stops or checkpoints along the way. These checkpoints are critical points where the cell stops and asks, have I grown enough? Is my DNA in good shape? And am I ready to divide? There are three main checkpoints and they happen at critical stages. First is after the cell grows. Second, after the DNA is copied. And lastly, before chromosomes are split. These checkpoints help prevent errors before they cause problems. If something isn't right, say the DNA is damaged or didn't copy correctly, the cell can pauses the cycle to fix the problem, like calling for repairs, or if the damage is too serious, this can trigger apoptosis, which is a clean and controlled form of cell death. It's the body's way of saying, let's stop this problem before it spreads. This is incredibly important because without these checkpoints, cells could divide with damaged or mutated DNA. There can be missing or extra chromosomes or just be completely out of control, which leads to, you guess it, diseases like cancer. So, in short, checkpoints keep your cells safe, accurate, and healthy. Now, let's explore the three most important ones. The first one is the G1 checkpoint, or what we call the start checkpoint. The G1 checkpoint is like the first big inspection. It happens at the end of the G1 phase or the gap1 phase, just before the cell starts copying its DNA in S phase or synthesis phase. Here, the cell asks, am I big enough to divide? Do I have enough resources like energy and nutrients? And is my DNA undamaged? If everything checks out, the cell moves into S phase to copy its DNA. But if not, the cell pauses and tries to fix the issue, or it enters a resting phase called G0, where it can chill and stop dividing for a while. Some cells stay in G0 permanently, like the nerve cells. Now, real world example. Imagine you're starting a group project. Before you begin, you check, do I have my notes? Did I bring my laptop? Is my brain even awake? If the answer is no, you probably pause, right? Same with your cells. Now the next checkpoint is the G2 checkpoint, or what we call the DNA checkpoint. This checkpoint happens at the end of G2 or gap 2, just before the cell begins mitosis, which is actual cell division. Here, the cell reviews, was the DNA copied properly during S phase? Are there any mistakes or mutations? If everything looks perfect, the cell enters mitosis to divide. But if there are problems, the cell will pause and try to repair the DNA. If it can't fix it, it may undergo apoptosis to avoid passing on bad instructions. Now, real world examples. It's like proofreading your essay before you print and turn it in. You check for typos, make sure your paragraphs make sense, and that you follow the rubric. If you spot a mistake, you fix it before submitting. That's exactly what your cells do here. Now the third checkpoint, or sometimes or also known as the spindle checkpoint. This one is a bit different. It happens during mitosis, specifically in metaphase when all the chromosomes are lined up in the middle of the cell. The cell checks, are all chromosomes aligned properly? And are the spindle fibers attached to each chromosomes? Spindle fibers are like ropes that pull the chromosomes apart into two new cells. If even one chromosome isn't attached right, the whole process pauses. Now, if everything's aligned, the cell finishes mitosis and divides. But if not, it pauses and waits for things to be corrected. Now, for a real-world example, think of a roller coaster ride. Before the ride starts, the operator checks to make sure every seatbelt is fastened and everyone is in place. Only then do they hit the start button. That's exactly what the M checkpoint does, making sure everything's secure before the big split. So each checkpoint is like a guardrail that keeps the cell cycle safe and on track. If something goes wrong, it stops the process before damage can spread. This is how your body avoids chaos and why your cells are so good at maintaining order most of the time. Now, what if the checkpoint fails? Here's the scary part. If there's a checkpoint or these checkpoints don't work properly, things can go very wrong. Cells divide even if DNA is damaged. Mutation is built up. Now, when we say mutation, this is a change in the DNA sequence of an organism. Think of DNA like the instructions or a recipe for building and running your body. So a mutation is like a typo or change in that recipe. It can happen naturally or be caused by outside factors. While some mutations are harmful, others may be harmless or even helpful. And lastly, this can lead to cancer or other diseases, where cells grow and divide uncontrollably. Cancer cells are like cars with no brakes. They don't stop at red lights or the checkpoints, and that causes crashes in the body. That's why some cancer treatments target these checkpoints to try and stop damaged cells from multiplying. Now let's have a summary and review. For the key takeaways, let's always remember first, cell cycle checkpoints are quality control systems in your cells. There are three major checkpoints, G1 or the gap1, G2 or the gap2, and M for the mitotic phase. They prevent mutations, ensure DNA accuracy, and protect you from diseases like cancer. Now that we understand the checkpoints in the cell cycle, let me ask you, what something else in life that has checkpoints or quality control steps? Is it in school, the airport security, in cooking? So just like in those systems, cell checkpoints keep things running smoothly and safely. Without them, our bodies couldn't function properly. And that's why cell cycle regulation is one of the coolest and most important processes in biology. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. See you in the next module. Bye bye.